Good morning. Welcome to Talking Technical once again. And we must kick off this week with the chart of the Rand. We checked this chart for quite a while now. In actual fact, there's a lot of viewers, I think, that believe that this chart will never work out or this formation will never work out. But this is actually telling us a nice story. You know what? When you see a chart that develops a formation like this one over a couple of weeks, you must remember that some serious investors, they are meaning business. And this is exactly what happened. We looked at the chart, and this morning, this chart is not yet updated, but you will know by the time that you see this program, you will know that the Rand is below 14 Rand. It is stronger than 14 Rand. Can you believe it? It went from 11 Rand 16 all the way to 15.60 almost in about 3 months, and now it has broken this. But what is the key here? The key is, let's have a look what happened. First of all, the Rand surpassed this high. Everybody thought, okay, there the Rand is going to maybe 17 Rand. What happened? It took a breather there. It went a little bit higher. But as it strengthened, there was something interesting in this chart. Look at it. There's the left shoulder. All right. There's the big head. And there you are. There's the right shoulder. Now, I want to show you something here. What's interesting here, when we were working on this right shoulder, there was a tweezer bottom forming here to say that there was a lot of investors that could not believe that the Rand can get stronger than 14 Rand. That's why it's always important to, if you look at candles, don't just look at one singular candle, maybe look at a few more, and then it will tell you a story. But look at it, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. But can you see the battle here? There was the tweezer bottom, where a lot of investors said, oh no, the Rand is going to weaken from here. But on the other hand, look at these two candles. Both of them had nice upper shadows. And they said, oh no, the Rand wants to strengthen. Now what happened was, between the fight here, there was a massive fight between the buyers and the sellers. But the important one and you always know, if I talk about the head and shoulder, what is the most important part of the head and shoulder? Not the left shoulder, not the head, not the right shoulder, but the neckline. The neckline is holding the key. And the moment the neckline, in this case, turns into a resistance, we know that the Rand can even strengthen even more. So I'm quite excited. We watched this head and shoulder formation for quite a while. It took about, you can almost say 10 weeks to develop, because remember, this is a weekly chart. So when it breaks below 14 Rand, where can the Rand go? We've got two targets here. And this is the important one that I would like to show you. You always, with a head and shoulder formation, you've got two targets. The one is what we call a conservative target. And I usually say that we also have almost you can say a full target if it reaches its full potential. Now let's just have a look here, and you will see the conservative target can take the Rand down all the way to, can you believe it, 1365. I actually see a level of 1382 as well, because I'm looking at some of these shadows, and the upper shadows was all around this 1382, 1380 Rand level, but it can maybe go all the way down to that 1365 level. And can you believe it, if it plays out to the full, what do we see? It can go all the way back, can you believe it, to this 40-week moving average. So what it tells you, this market is telling us that the Rand wants to strengthen a little bit. That the Rand is not just a currency that everybody can knock around. I believe that we're going to see a strengthening Rand, while this, as you say, this neckline is a resistance. And I think if it plays out to the full, it can maybe take the Rand, can you believe it, to 1324 in time to come. And by then, this 40-week moving average will change into a resistance, and that will be very bullish for the Rand. But I think that's early days. I think we must keep our eye on this neckline, because I've actually told you these levels to tell you what some investors make and what they sometimes do, and they make a mistake. They see the break of this line and then they put their target straight away on that. You need to keep your eye on this neckline. That is the crucial part. Sometimes you do find that a share or a currency or an index drops below the line, and as you believe now it's going to go all the way, it can go straight up and it can mess you around. So I want to see the rand to the dollar moving below 14 rand, staying below that. This morning it's around 13 rand 92, but I want it to remain below that 14 rand level, because only while it is consolidating below that, you can say that this formation can actually play out to the downside and strengthen the rand even further. But there's something else also to keep in mind. Remember, a lot of investors would like to take some money out. And sometimes you need these levels to maybe help you before you make your decision to say, that's the point where I can take my money out. And a lot of investors always makes the same mistake. When the rand weakens a lot, they want to take all their money out. When the rand strengthens a lot, they believe that the rand can just strengthen forever. So keep your eyes on these levels. If you're keen on maybe taking some money out of the country, but what I see here, the rand can maybe strengthen for the moment, but remember, it must remain stronger than 14 rand. Well, let's have a look at some nice charts. I mean, we had some nice requests this week, and a lot of viewers contacted me and said, Frans, can you maybe look at Remgro? You actually called the stock a while back as a potential buy, and you said it can maybe go to 200 rand. And remember, I always keen on a Remgro stock, because I believe it always surprises you when it really goes up, and I like it. And remember, this is a daily chart, but let's maybe just refresh your mind or your memory a little bit. I mean, Remgro almost fell off a cliff. It went from 215 rand when it touched this, almost you can say 200-day moving average, and it fell off a cliff straight away, all the way. And can you believe it? You saw Remgro at around 176, 180 rand. I mean, that was for me, in essence, a brilliant opportunity to buy. Now, let's say, why do I say that? When I saw these candles at around 185, I realized that there's some shadows there. There's some guys buying in weakness, and I saw that the Remgro share wanted to pick up, and then it started to fall even lower. But then what I did was, and that's why I used it as a stock pick, and I looked at this chart, and what did I see? I just want to draw the line in here. There's the resistance line that kept the stock going lower. But the big thing for me was this falling wedge. And I've seen over the years, when you see a top company like Remgro, like a Sanlam, a Standard Bank, a FirstRand, all those stock counters, the moment you start seeing them getting knocked to pieces and you see a falling wedge, it's maybe time to stand closer. Because what happens here is the following. First of all, you see this beautiful dragonfly candle, or some guys will talk about an inverted hammer, but I see this as a dragonfly candle. The dragonfly candle always tells me, sorry, there's some guys nibbling in weakness, so they're keen on the stock. But the next day was my clue. Then I saw another lower shadow. I saw this like a tweezer bottom, and look what happened. The third day, again a dragonfly, beautiful Harami candle, and then you see this resistance line. This resistance line of Remgro was waiting at 186.07. And that was the crucial point. And can you see now, this 186.07 is not just the place where this line turns into a support. This is the place where I previously spotted that there is some buyers around. So always keep that in mind. When you see some shadows pointing some support out to you, you can just maybe keep it in your mind at the back and say, okay, there were some buyers here. The share went a little bit lower. Now the buyers are coming back. And because it's a nice stock like Remgro, I wonder if that buyers actually took a stop loss. They maybe bought the share for a while and they said, okay, we bought it at 185. There's always a chance for the share to go back to 200 rand. Where do we get that? If you just take the share and you just go a little bit back, I just want to show you here, then you will see every time that the share gets to a point where it's really hammered, you can just draw that line in there. It brings you back to about 200 rand. There you are. And that's why I was keen on the stock, because it fell below that. It gave us a beautiful falling wedge. Look what happened here. Beautiful falling wedge. It broke to the top there. And what happened? It went all the way to 200 rand. And in actual fact, it went a little bit higher. And first of all, I want to say, remember, and I've learned that lesson many a time. If you say to yourself, listen, I want to lock in profit at this previous resistance line, and remember, that is if you are a trader. If you are a trader, you buy at a certain level, and what I do is, I've learned through the years, I decide beforehand where I would like to lock in some profit, and in this case, maybe 199.99 or maybe 200 Rand, and then I put my order in and I say, okay, that was my target. I'm happy with my profit there, and if it gets there, I will lock in my profit, and I will move on to another share. That is if you are a trader. If you are a long-term investor, you can say, okay, the 200 Rand level has turned into a support now. Which is my next target? Maybe the 200-day moving average. So that is the crucial point. The crucial point is we saw a falling wedge. We saw some beautiful candles telling us that something is on the go here, that we wanted to buy it. It came back, it went up, it broke that line, it went all the way up to 200 Rand, and that is positive. And remember, look at it, after this rally, Remgro is still sitting on a 2% dividend yield and a 13 PE. Right at the bottom, the dividend was almost 2.5 and the PE was 12. So it was actually a nice share to look at. And that is what I always say. If you've got a good quality company and you watch that, and you check for formations, and you check for maybe a resistance, and you just combine a few candlestick chart patterns with that, you can easily decide to buy the stock. And usually, the stock will almost, you can say, treat you well. So Remgro is one of those stocks. We looked at the Rand, it looks beautifully, and let's maybe have a look at some other stocks, because we are inundated with emails with a lot of requests. Thank you so much, guys.